Clayton Jr. was named the most outstanding player of the tournament. Clayton posted just 11 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists. Talking postgame and how the team picks each other up.
Man, these guys around me, man. Like I said, our motto, we all can go. I understand that if it ain't my night, somebody gonna pick me up, and we understand that. We all just picking each other up throughout the year, man. We've been doing that all year. Tonight was nothing different. I think the way we won tonight, this is an exclamation mark on the year, and it's just great to win like that, knowing the fact that we brotherhood together, and we just been picking each other up all year.
Clayton's defensive performance is what stood out. With 20 seconds remaining in the game, he demonstrated exceptional defensive awareness, forcing a turnover that sealed the victory. It's 65 degrees at 12 o'clock. Time in time brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our 3 sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
This is Helmets and Heels
on 1010XL.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Mia has the day off, but Taylor and I are here alongside RJ Saunders to talk all things men's national championship. I don't know who won that game last night, Taylor.
I wonder.
I'm not sure. If you walk around the halls here at 1010XL, you certainly know who was victorious. And
I feel like this should have been a holiday for our station, pretty much.
Probably, yeah. There are a lot of people that I think the voices are gravelly, running on little sleep, but certainly well worth it. Florida took down Houston, as most people obviously now know, 65-63. And yes, everyone's going to talk about Walter Clayton Jr. and that defensive effort.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if people are talking enough about Todd Golden and what he was able to do this entire season of pushing the right buttons. Alex Condon didn't have a great tournament, but he kept with the same starting lineup that he started the season with. And certainly Florida needed every single guy last night in order to overcome that 12-point deficit. But my goodness, when they needed that defensive stop by Walter Clayton Jr., they got it. And Houston took more shots than Florida did.
Yeah.
16 more shots. That's what's so ironic about the ending of that game.
Yeah, and that's what my first thought went to Todd Golden, because I feel like this whole year, and from the start, it started messy because of all of the allegations and things like that, and that could easily bleed into things that you're doing and how you're coaching and affecting players and trust and respect and all of these things, and you never felt there was one moment of that, and that shows how much the team loves him, respects him, loves what he does on and off the court, obviously. And so just to start the season that way, and then you talk about the SEC and what the SEC was this year in general and basketball, and how many times it was like, all right, well, they coming off of this SEC win, but now they've got another battle in a couple days. And it was just that conversation. And then there's injuries that are popping up and they're getting through that. And I remember at one point asking you and having the conversation about how he's going to approach the tournament in general with all of these guys. Does he still kind of count on, you have Walter Clayton Jr., but every other time it was kind of different guys stepping up, and can you realistically do that going into a tournament of being able to count on a different person every night, which they've been able to have, and it's been a rotation of an Elijah Martin and a Houck and some of those guys that have really stepped up in big moments, and Houck last night was Will Richard, And so I do think that the way that he's been able to balance having such depth but also still sticking with what works is what was fun to watch last night. And granted, it's stressful, and I know like the beginning I was like, here we go again, another game where it's like Florida felt like in the first half they weren't quite clicking the way you feel like they could. If Florida played 2 halves the way they play their second half, they'd beat teams by like 40, I feel like.
Which I thought about that this morning of this season and how Florida, there were a couple close games, like Will Richard against South Carolina was able to win the game for Florida. But a lot of times they beat teams as behinds, right? Like they were up big. So going into a tournament like this to be down so often and to still find a way, that wasn't how their regular season went. And yes, that's how it started, ironically, against USF here in Jacksonville. But that's not really how a lot of those games, especially those top tier SEC games like you talked about. Todd Golden, when I got to meet him a few years ago at the spring game, you could just tell how intelligent and articulate he was, but also how excited he was to be in Gainesville. And that's something that we talked about the Les Snead on Ozone podcast with John Ogier. And Les Snead referenced how in college, when the guy who went to that school comes back to coach it, how it's different. There's just something different. And obviously Todd Golden, no, he did not go to Florida. But he evokes something like that, that he and his family absolutely love the University of Florida. And again, I could tell that from getting to meet him and chat with him for 15, 20 minutes that day. We've actually got to talk to him a couple different times. He is so smart basketball-wise.
Yeah. And you can tell the way he adjusts, and we talk about the second halves of what they've been able to do and the adjustments that they've made. And when we were talking yesterday about it, and I said when the conversation of the different teams that they've had to face and the different challenges they've had, and I was talking to Hayes Carline after the show yesterday, and I said if one of these teams have to kind of mold to the other team's game, who can do it better? Because I felt like that was what this game was going to come down to.
Houston
and
was drag Florida down.
It was Florida had to turn into that physical team that we had been talking about Houston being. And it took a little bit. It took a little bit to get to that level. Obviously, it was 25 minutes before Walter Clayton even got a point. And those are things
so wild.
Insane.
So wild.
Honestly. And that's because in everybody's head, they're like, okay, Walter Clayton's going to have to score 30 for Florida to be able to win this, because it felt like that's what had to happen the two previous games. And granted, he went on his run later, so it's still, but I remember there was 3 minutes left and he had 11 points still. And I remember being like, I mean, there's still a good amount of time in basketball, but that was not quite the performance that you were expecting. But then you go back and you watch what Houston did to Duke, and that's how they were able to beat Duke, is when you take away the best player, it eliminates some other things. And so I think they were trying to do that, but eventually it caught up because Florida just has too many other guys that can score, and they were getting physical. So then they were making free throws, which there were moments in other games that they weren't. And so I think that all of the things that kind of needed to come together late did, and it was crazy. I honestly hate the end of it, like the anticlimactic, like I was like, just take the shot, like what are you doing? And I felt bad for the kid, but Walter Clayton going up and kind of consoling him after, I love those moments, and that's like the true sportsmanship that you like. And coming from someone that's not a fan of either of these teams, watching those moments is what makes us love these sports.
Sports can be elation and sports can be devastation and so cool. And I think when you're leading, by double digits at some point in time, you get to that point where Houston probably thought they were going to win. They made it their game, like you said. They were able to take away Walter Clayton Jr. for a lot of it. And I thought were getting some calls that were going their way. And of course, you always say that as the fan of one team, right, when you're biased. But at the end of the day, Kelvin Sampson's team, I thought they were, for many moments last night, I thought, well, this was the team of destiny. We thought it was Florida, but Kelvin Sampson's story is a cool one. The fact that his son is an assistant coach and will one day take over that job. The fact that his daughter, Lauren, is the director of basketball operations. Like, it's in their blood. And that's such a cool story. And the fact that they had a lot of homegrown guys on that roster. And so there were just so many times last night I thought, well... And
taking down Duke. It's like you...
Exactly.
That moment, I think a lot of people were like, man, maybe this is Houston's year, because you take down the team that a lot of people, and I know Florida, I think the majority of the world had Florida and Duke in that championship game, but a lot of people had Duke winning because of Cooper Flagg, because of the depth that they had, because of the Ken Pom... I think they were first in both defensively and offensively, or at least in the top 5. So when you have things like that, all of that starts adding up to being the best team, and Houston takes them down. And the moment that happens, you feel like, okay, well, is this that year of destiny for this team?
And it would have been Kelvin Sampson's 800th victory. Like, they were on the brink. And so, like you said, the tears of happiness on one side, and certainly the tears of sadness on the other side. That's what sports are, though. It's those moments. And I, of course, got lots of texts from my dad, who was at the game, and then called him as soon as it was over. And that was a special conversation.
Oh, yeah, I bet. I'm sure he had a blast. And you could feel the energy through the TV. And that's when you know it's a good sporting event.
60,000 people at a basketball game.
That's insane.
And think of it, too, like this, Taylor.
And the Florida fans are traveling far. Like, there's a lot of people.
Yeah, the Houston fans, obviously.
They had 2.5 hours, 3 hours, whatever Frank said yesterday. Florida fans, and not saying some of them may live out there. My cousin lives not far from there, and she's a Gator fan. But a lot traveled. There was a lot of people immediately that I was seeing on Twitter, on my Facebook, got my tickets heading to San Antonio. And that shows the dedication of Florida fans and SEC sports in general.
And I know some Florida fans, I was talking to some that were there, the Dozers, they almost didn't make it because of the storms. And so obviously they did make it, and that's great. But certainly there's those types of stories when you talk about the masses descending upon one city. Seeing the the parade on the boats after the game on the Riverwalk.
So cool.
That is unbelievable. But what I don't like as far as being a fan of a team is how much media these guys have to do leading into the Final Four and the national championship game. That's not routine.
Yeah.
They do some media certainly each week, but it's so much more. And I'm like, I need them to just practice and relax and get their sleep and all that
shoot the
kind
free
of stuff.
throws and get ready. Yeah. And I think that when you talk about a game like this, and you could tell that's one of the things too that Todd Golden has instilled in this team, because you never felt like there was a moment. We talk about Walter Clayton and his straight face, and you never seeing him feel like there's any nerves or almost anything. It's just like he's there to play, and that's what it is. But the team as a whole, and the amount of times that they've been down in this entire tournament, and it never felt like there was a moment where they were pouting on the side. Like, you'll see that in other teams sometimes where they just start getting like, okay, how are we going to do this? When you're constantly down in moments like this, they always felt like it's fine, we'll come back. Like, it always gave off those vibes. And you have to give credit to Todd Golden for that too, because to put that into this group of guys who we've talked about how he's created this team too. It's not a bunch of guys that have been together for 4 years, all growing and learning and doing everything together. And so to get them all on the same page and playing this well in such a short amount of time it's just really, really fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. A special season for sure. I texted my dad yesterday, as I mentioned to Frank yesterday when we had him on, about how Florida was going to have to be the scrappier team.
Yeah.
And for most of that game, they both battled hard for sure. But you had to give the credit to Houston for what they were able to do on the boards, and then to have the game end, like you said, anticlimactic, obviously for Florida fans out there. It was the opposite of that. And to have it end with Florida being the scrappy team, like what I love, if you go back and rewatch that play, which I'm sure Gator fans have watched it already 100 times. Walter Clayton Jr. obviously gets the stop, and then he's pointing to the ball.
Yeah.
Because I don't think at that moment Alex Condon realized that
it was loose.
That Sharp couldn't pick it back up.
Oh, yeah.
And so
I don't know if there was a lot. You could tell all of them were kind of, even
but Walter
his teammates.
immediately started pointing. Yeah. And so it's like you knew that he knew, like he can't pick this ball back up. And then Alex Condon got it. And if you don't have goosebumps watching that game last night, if you're a Gators fan, I don't know what will give you goosebumps.
That's what the poor kid, though, because I was like, he's going to think about that moment for the rest of his life. But that's those moments where you can't hesitate. You got to go. And he took 1 millisecond of time in basketball too long to decide what he wanted to do. And
all he had to do was have a shot fake. Yeah. And then Clayton might foul. Yeah. He might have just gone sky past him. But you want to keep talking Florida stuff? Because on the other side, we have a very special guest, and Laura Rutledge will also talk to her about the Masters as well. You are listening to Helmets and Heels. It's 10 to Next on 92.5 FM.
Here come the Gators.
Clayton fires for three. Good.
This is the NCAA National Championship game.
Bang! Got it off the catch.
Pre-game coverage starts at 8 p.m. Eastern on your home for Florida basketball. 1010XL.
Mia here. I'm just going to cut to the chase. What you really want to know is, why buy from Arlington Toyota? Well, you're in luck, because I have over 800 reasons why. Like the fact that Arlington has over 800 vehicles to choose from, all on one lot, all at Arlington. And here's 60 more reasons, as in 60 days to love your purchase or exchange it for one that you do. Seriously, I know it sounds too good to be true, but it's not. Picture it. You buy it, drive it everywhere for 60 days, decide you love it or decide you don't, and exchange it. Now that's some test drive. And here's even more reasons why. You choose a pre-owned 2022 Camry, RAV4, or Tacoma for $0 down and only $388 per month. Or you can enjoy no payments till August 2025. That's right, no payments until August 2025 at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Now you know why you need to buy from Arlington. Go ahead. Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter mile east of 295, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
Hey Jacksonville, Don from Taco Lou here. Spring has sprung, the temps are rising, and the summer is on the way. In our world, that can only mean one thing. Cinco is coming. Yes, the day everyone gets their taco fix and margarita fix. It could possibly be the best Monday of the year this year. If you're sitting at your desk on a Monday thinking no tacos for me, well, think again. We wouldn't let a big day like Cinco de Mayo slip by just because it's a Monday. Skip work or get the day off. But come and celebrate with us at Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach. Maybe take Tuesday off. Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
It's time to elevate your game night. Head to Best Bet, your premier destination for poker, card games, and hospitality. With locations in Jacksonville, Orange Park, and St. Augustine, we have a seat ready for you. Whether you're a seasoned poker player or just starting out, we have you covered with poker games of all limits and easy-to-learn games like Ultimate Texas Hold'em. And it's not just poker. With delicious dining, lively bars, and big screen events, there's something for everyone at Best Bet. Visit bestbetjacks.com to learn more. That's bestbetjacks.com and ante up for fun.
Your home is more than walls and a roof. It's where you breathe, drink, and power through life. At Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to keep it all running smoothly. From clean, cool air to clean water, reliable power to expert plumbing, we do it all. For over 35 years, families have trusted Donovan to make their homes healthier, safer, and more comfortable. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing today, 904-270-COOL, where health meets home.
Jacksonville, you know a good defense wins games, and a good fence protects your home. Frank Frangie here. Coil Fencing has been around the block since 1927. Literally, they probably fenced it too. From tough chain link to sleek aluminum fences your HOA will love, Coil is the name to trust. Nearly a century strong and still standing tall. Call Coil today. You can trust them. Call 904-356-4821 or visit coiljacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com.
Before the picks come in, 1010XL will be all over the draft with every angle and option. 1010XL's draft coverage is brought to you by First Coast Recyclers and Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors. Roll through the offseason with AA Automotive.
The team at Hidden Hills Golf Club invites you to book your next round of golf with us. At Hidden Hills, we love the game, and we'll provide you with a memorable golf experience at one of the most unique golf courses in North Florida. Check us out at hiddenhillsgc.com.
PRP treatment is kind of the thing these days, and in many cases, it eliminates the need for surgery. This is Sheridan Tootin, and my experience with PRP from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has been nothing short of great. I'm really feeling much better now. Ask your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist doctor about PRP treatment.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where athletes are treated like pros.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
David here with Royal Pest Services. Man, don't let your yard be torn up by that heavy aeration machine this spring. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to learn more about our granular aeration. Broadcast throughout the tree and shrubs to break up that compacted soil. Visit RoyalPestServices.com.
If you're heading to the Og or you're already part of the nation's oldest, don't forget to drop into Sunset Grill. For over 30 years, serving up great chowder, seafood, wings, and cold beer. Sunset Grill, somewhere on A1A, St. Augustine Beach.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Good morning, Doctor.
Doctor?
Hi, Doctor. Doctor?
Dr. Jackson's practice is growing.
What do you mean we're still short-staffed?
He needs a good patient doctor.
How do we not have enough doctors to doctor all these patients?
And he doesn't have the patience to sift through hundreds of resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Mia has the day off. She'll be back with us tomorrow. Before we say hello to Laura Rutledge, RJ worked hard in the lab putting this together from the national championship last night as Florida didn't back down and ended up winning it all.
Yeah, DJ Clue, Just Storm, come on. And utter elation from
the Florida Gators. They are the 2025 national champions. Shot clock at 5. Rejected on the perimeter by him. Running the floor and out. Twisting and turning for the bucket of the foul. How good was that sprint? Martin lines it up. Nyla, nice step back.
I don't know if I can ever remember a team that's come back 3 times in a row to win a national championship. You guys did it, Texas Tech, Auburn, and here against Houston. How do you explain it?
It's a testament to how connected we are. We never quit. We are a resilient team. We fight through adversity, and we love playing for each other.
And that's a little stagger to give them a look. Clayton, how good is that?
You guys have been a second-half team throughout the course of this tournament, especially the last 3 games. How did you guys turn this around?
Man, we just stayed together, man. I've been preaching it all year. We got a group of guys that love each other. Man, we together on and off the court, man. We got a great brotherhood, man, so we were just able to stay together through adversity.
Florida leads it by 2. Uzan gonna go. Uzan, give it up. Fryer, 6 seconds, 5 seconds, short. He walked, he can't touch it. He can't. 1 second, and it's over. Florida is back on top of the college basketball world. Championship madness. It's a great day to be a Gator. They win the national title.
We clearly have the best team in America. And in 3 short years in Gainesville, we got the basketball program back where it belongs, which is raising trophies, playing in Final Fours, and competing for national championships. Super fortunate to be with this group right here.
Great job, RJ. I loved it. Yeah, you heard the comments obviously there at the end of Todd Golden, but earlier than that, Ian Eagle on the call alongside Grant Hill and Bill Raftery. Like we've discussed, Florida didn't have the lead for very long.
Yeah.
Florida led 8-6.
Yeah.
And
I just read that stat. It was 63 seconds of the game that Florida has the lead.
And then in the end ended up obviously with the lead.
But I guess if you have the lead with 1 second left at the end, you're good.
That's all that matters. Yes, absolutely. And Walter Clayton Jr. is a guy that we have talked so much about because he's so incredibly critical to this team.
Mm-hmm.
All these guys are so selfless. It's just fascinating how this roster was all put together. Walter Clayton Jr., the reason he was at Florida is because he was at Iona when Rick Pitino decided to leave and take the other job at St. John's. Walter's from Florida, as we've talked about, played football with Gervon Dexter in Lake Wales. And he found out his girlfriend was pregnant and wanted to come back home to be closer to his daughter and his girlfriend. If his girlfriend doesn't get pregnant,
is he here?
I think he probably goes to St. John's and follows Rick Pitino. And then the fact that, to me, they found Alex Condon because they were recruiting Ruben Chinyelu is wild. And then Thomas Houck from Pennsylvania, who, nobody thought he was going to be any good. And of course, Micah Hanlogton coming back. Will Richard, of course, and was money last night. And he had moments like that throughout the season, had games like that, but certainly stepped up last night. It's a wild way to end a season that started and we had no idea just how special it was going to be.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about that and how the changes of building teams is going to come about, and coaches now have to find different ways to do it because it's not we have had this conversation a lot now of it's these 1-year builds almost or maybe 2-year builds. But
the one and done is now about the transfer portal guys, not about the guys going to the NBA draft.
Yes, exactly. And so when you have that conversation, these coaches are learning too. These coaches are learning how to build and how to start figuring out how to maneuver the transfer portal and NIL and getting these guys in so many different ways. And Todd Golden has done it magnificently.
Yes, I couldn't have said it better myself. All right, we are joined now, I should say, by Laura Rutledge, another Gator. I know she had a great night like us Gator fans. Laura, thanks so much for joining us from Augusta.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we were, of course, just talking about that national championship that Florida won, now the only school with 3 football and 3 men's basketball. How did your night go?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I was very stressed because it was a tense game. And, I mean, just credit to both teams because Houston played, I thought, really well at times during the game. And obviously they had the lead for much of the game. As a person rooting for Florida, I was very well aware of that. But just what we've seen from this Florida team has been remarkable, and the way that they've fought, they've come from behind so many times throughout the year, but especially this postseason. there was just never a doubt. I mean, as much as I was nervous, I was thinking, no, somehow they're going to pull this out. And that's exactly what they did. And they've just been such a fun group to watch. And you can tell how close they are, how special they are to each other. And my night was tense at times, but ended in pure joy.
Yeah, I was telling Laura, that she's a Gator fan. I'm not. So I was just watching and having a blast because I'm like, this has been probably one of the better Final Fours we've had, better national championship games we've had in a long time. And when you're just an observer and you're not stressed, it's probably a little more exciting from start to finish. But we were just having a conversation about the thoughts on how the portal is now and NIL and how it's kind of changed how coaches have had to build rosters, and that goes to basketball, that goes to baseball, that goes to football. What are your thoughts on that now, and how some of these coaches have had to adjust the way they're building these teams to make these runs?
Well, it's just an ever-changing landscape. You know, I think if you talk to any of these coaches, they would tell you that as soon as they think they have it figured out, then something changes again, or somebody else figures out a loophole that then they have to adapt to. And so it's a different world, and it's only going to continue to compound. But I do think that we've seen some of these teams, some of these coaches go out and build teams in a way that allows them to be in contention for championships when otherwise it wouldn't have been that way. And then I say all that to say that you still need to coach them to be able to win championships. Like it's not as easy as just compiling the best players and then throwing them out there on the court and saying, or the field and saying, yeah, no, let's see how this goes. You know, so at times I think people just assume, well, you know, they bought that team. And yes, maybe there's some truth to some of that, but there's also the reality that contributions were had by many of these players, and it's a long season. It's a long time to have to go to try to, you know, ultimately reach the championship. There's so many times where a mental lapse or a physical lapse would come into play and they would end up losing a game. So I think probably there's still more credit due to the entire group, the buy-in of the players, and the ability to coach and just create even chemistry as a team, which you see from the coaches and their staff.
Laura, this is your third year with Welcome to the Masters. What makes you so excited about this show?
Oh my goodness, it's just the best. It's so much fun. It's so much fun to be in Augusta, and also just to do what we do on Welcome to the Masters, because it is a unique show, and it certainly has plenty of it that will be related to golf and what we're expecting this week and what fans can expect to see. But there's also the element of just embracing the golf fan, whether you're an avid or a casual fan. Maybe you're just a fan of seeing the beauty of Augusta National, which we show plenty of and we celebrate. And there's so many opportunities to even tell stories about this place and to convey what it means to so many people. And I think, you know, one of the big goals for us is showing how this is a more, while it's revered and it is so precious and special, it's a more, I think, open arms place and a more accessible place than people realize. And so that's something that I really enjoy, hopefully bringing through the screen for anybody who watches.
Laura, about a month ago, we saw Rory McIlroy win here at TPC Sawgrass, and now you're looking at a potential that's always going to be one of those storylines, is him completing that Grand Slam. And so what is the chatter revolving that and how Rory's been playing this season also?
Yeah, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody here who wouldn't have Rory at the top of their mind as a major contender here. And that, of course, for him, it's been a bit elusive. The career Grand Slam feels like this could be the time to do it. And I think we've seen him not only play some of his best golf in his career, but we've also seen him be in a mental state where nothing really phases him. And he's seemed that way even so far this week, which is, I think, really a good sign for anybody who wants to see what I believe would be an incredible story. And, you know, the interesting thing about this Masters, it just feels like it could be a heavy hitters leaderboard on Sunday, which I think would be really special and really fun, just kind of adding to the drama. You know, you think about the possibility of Rory, but you can never count out Scottie Scheffler. Xander's been playing really well at times and then also has been a bit inconsistent, but he's still somebody that, you know, has that in him to be able to pull it off. Colin Morikawa. There's just so many of these big names that I feel like will end up being in contention and making for what I hope will be a dramatic and incredible Sunday.
Laura Rutledge with us, obviously hosting Welcome to the Masters, and alongside Marty Smith and Jeff Darlington. Laura, have you had the opportunity to watch the piece that Jeff Darlington did about Rafael Campos?
Yes, it's amazing.
I literally had tears streaming down my face when I watched it. For people who don't know, he had missed 13 out of 14 cuts. He had to win a tournament in order to keep his PGA Tour card. His daughter was born on Monday, and the wife had to be induced so that she would be born by a certain time at 8 p.m. that night. And so that way they could be released from the hospital by Wednesday so he could get to the Bermuda Open on Thursday. And then he ended up winning the entire tournament, won $1.2 million.
Oh, that's a nice little turnaround there.
Yeah. Laura, I just feel like those are the types of stories that's why we need a show like Welcome to the Masters.
Exactly. And you will see that again on Welcome to the Masters. It really is. I mean, it's an opportunity to tell stories. And I think, the game of golf, there are certainly times where it becomes technical and people watching and even people at home who play golf, they're paying attention to swings and somebody's putting game and whatever it may be. But there are so many parts of this game that have to do with the stories that make it. So that's where it's really special to have the real estate to tell those stories and to really celebrate what this game is. And it all does kind of come to a head at what is the highlight of the season, which of course is the Masters and being at Augusta National Golf Club and celebrating what this place is. So truly, yes, the storytelling, and there's so many more stories. I can't wait for you guys to see. Jeff and Marty have done an incredible job working on these features, and we also have some really exciting interviews that we're going to be able to spend time with some people who love this game and who I guarantee will be a real treat to hear them talk.
I'm really excited to see the new ones for this year. Is there a favorite for you from the past couple seasons, one of the stories that you really enjoyed being able to tell?
Yeah, I think one of the neatest things is just learning about families that come here every year, and it's become a tradition in their family, and it's a time for them to reconnect. And, just seeing kids fall in love with the game of golf here has been so fun. And we had a few of those stories last year that really were just patrons who were here that we were able to find their stories and kind of tell those. And then, I think the other thing that I love is just telling the stories of this course and what certain holes mean and what they signify and, being able to talk about the bridges and who they're named after and all of those things that maybe you've watched the Masters for years, but you may not know some of those details. And so I think our production team has done an amazing job of getting that footage and then allowing us to tell those stories to back the pictures up.
I don't know how you manage your time, Laura, between all the different things that you do, but I know you really enjoyed the coverage there at Augusta. We have to at least ask you one Jaguars question, since, of course, you do have insight into the NFL. What do you think about Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, Tony Baselli, the new regime here in Jacksonville?
I'm excited about it. I really am. And I think that when you look at what the ultimate goal is here, right, which of course is to win games, but I think maybe even more importantly, just a resurgence of Trevor Lawrence, which it's all right there. He just needs the right situation. And I believe that Liam Cohen has that ability to really get the best out of a quarterback. And whether you believe that or not, the proof is in the pudding, and the pudding is Baker Mayfield, right? And there are other examples too, but I think Baker Mayfield is uniquely appropriate in this situation because he's somebody who, in a lot of ways was all but forgotten and probably wasn't given the even credit that Trevor's given because we've still seen so many flashes out of Trevor. And so just to get a coach who understands how to bring the best out of a quarterback and who is such a creative offensive mind. I mean, talking to Liam Cohen over the years, covering Bucs games and even prior to that when he was at Kentucky, he's been one of my favorites to hear how he sees the game and creative things that he comes up with. And he's the guy that, he's texting at all hours of the night, to his quarterback, like, hey, what if we tried this? And I just think that pairing is going to be really special for Trevor's confidence. And I'm really excited to see how it all comes to fruition on the field.
All right, Laura, we know you are super busy, but we will definitely be watching Welcome to the Masters. I know it starts tomorrow. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Of course. Thank you.
There she goes, Laura Rutledge, proud Gator alum. Very excited about that win last night, and obviously all that's to come there at Augusta. Like she said, the stories of everything.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that Rafael Campos video,
I haven't. I need to go watch it.
Definitely, or check it out on Welcome to the Masters as well. All right, we've got more to do. There was some Jaguars news out there yesterday, so we will get to that when we return. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
You're exactly the kind of hero the world needs. At the end of the day, it comes down to the same question I've been asking my wife every Friday night for the last 20 years. Do you want some of this?
1010XL.
Mia here. Summer is just around the corner. Is your air conditioning unit ready to handle the heat? There is one way to find out, and it doesn't cost you a penny. My friends at Duck Duck Air Conditioning are hooking up all of our 1010XL listeners with a free inspection. Give them a call to schedule now, 904-862-6769. And if you need any repairs, they'll provide a free estimate to ensure your system is ready for that Florida heat. Call Duck Duck Air Conditioning at 904-862-6769 and be sure to tell them you want the free AC inspection you heard about on 1010XL.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Transmission troubles? I'm Robin Sidbury, owner of Action Transmission Specialist on Merrill Road. So come in and see how we can help solve your transmission troubles. We service all makes and models. Remember, get traction. Call Action at 744-0755.
Enjoy a great day of golf and support Eagles View Academy Athletics. Friday, May 2nd at the newly renovated Bent Creek Golf Course. 8:30 shotgun start, best ball format. Find out more at EVAWarriorsathletics.com.
So, you finally have some time to yourself. Even if it is just the car ride home, it's you time. And look at you. Do not disturb set before you even got in the car? Impressive. You've earned this moment to just chill and drive. This break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
Your yard starting to look a little like a jungle? Well, it might be time for a little TLC. Or how about RTC, Russell Tree Care? At Russell Tree Care, they give your trees the perfect haircut. Whether it's trimming or removing, they'll make sure your yard looks its best, all while keeping safety as a top priority. Call Russell Tree Care today and let them take care of your trees. Russell Tree Care, 844-4Mr. Wood. That's 844-467-9663. Or visit RussellTreeCareLLC.com today. Your trees will thank you.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On April 8, 1974, on opening day in Atlanta, Baseball Hall of Famer Hank Aaron hits his 715th career home run, breaking Babe Ruth's legendary record.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Charles.
6.
Oh, so close. Betty for the steal.
What about the bank that helps you reach your financial goals? Synovus.
Let's see, judges. Yes, looks like we have a winner.
That's a number?
Sorry, Charlie. Remember, a solid financial future doesn't happen by chance. Talk with Synovus about your potential today. Brought to you by Synovus Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. The number was 4.
Living on Amelia Island, having fun in Fernandina Beach? No matter what brings you to the fun, cozy town, make sure you check out the tap room at Mokama Beer Company. With a full flight of craft creations, from the Cosmico IPA to the Motor, the perfect Pilsners and lagers, matching memories and some Mokama magic is what it's all about. Mokama Beer Company in Fernandina Beach. near the big water where the sun is born. And look for more Mokama craft at your local Total Wine or ABC Liquors.
What is the smallest NFL stadium? The answer coming up.
When you file a claim with Southern Oak Insurance, we schedule one of our trusted vendors to work directly with you, which means a faster claim resolution. Find out more at southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Soldier Field in Chicago is not only the smallest, but is also the oldest, built originally in 1924.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. You've heard us talk about it. Window World, the #1 window replacement company in the USA, selling over 1 million windows each year for the past 8 years.
That's a lot of satisfied customers, and why J.D. Powers has awarded Window World Best in Customer Satisfaction 3 out of 4 years.
Window World stands behind their slogan, simply the best for less. With Window World, you get top quality windows at a price that leaves more of your money in your bank account, and you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement industry. When compared to our competition, there is none. See for yourself. Call the competition. Get quotes from them. But before you buy, get Window World's free estimate and compare the quality of the windows and the price.
You'll see.
And when your new Window World windows are installed and they're saving you money on your energy bills, if anything goes wrong with those windows, Window World and I will be there to make it right. That's my guarantee.
Call Window World today. Start saving money on your new windows and your energy bills, and take vacation with your savings. Window World, online at windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors and siding.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Thanks again to Laura Rutledge of ESPN for joining us. Welcome to the Masters. Begins tomorrow. All right, Taylor Dahl, the Jaguars announced yesterday that they exercised the fifth-year option on Trayvon Walker, of course, the defensive end and former #1 overall pick. And we know that the offseason workout, the voluntary portion, begins today. Got to see lots of different Jaguars players heading into the building. You have different thoughts on Trayvon Walker than I think a lot of people outside of Jacksonville. Share those.
Yeah, I mean, I love Trayvon, and I tweeted this the other day. It almost frustrates me, the negativity on Twitter when it comes to, you saw that post when everyone announced it. He got the fifth year option. Number one, I don't think that a fifth-year option also is saying that a team thinks that player is elite. That to me also isn't the case. So I think that some people in their mind, that wording is used, and it's used right now in April, and people start being like, oh, that must mean that the Jags value him as this like top elite player. I think Trayvon Walker is really, really good football player, and I think we're also can see more of Trayvon Walker because we've talked about the same conversation a lot of who else is getting pressures other than him and Josh Hines-Allen, and who else is getting sacks.
The answer is no one.
Yeah.
Well, until Mason Smith,
couple. There's like one here
was able to play towards the end of last season.
But you need, and the defenses that you see these players, like an Aiden Hutchinson, for example, that's going to be the example, that's going to be the comparison forever, because Aiden Hutchinson was always going to be this. What he is going to be a storyline because he was one of the more well-rounded, okay, this is what he's going to be. He's going to be a really good player in the NFL.
Polished pass rusher. Yeah.
And the Jags kind of went a different route. But to me, when you look at it, you have double-digit sack seasons from Trayvon Walker. You also have a really, really good run defender. I would say he's a better run defender than Aiden Hutchinson. And Aiden Hutchinson also just missed a half a season of football. So what is that conversation? What if he misses more football next year? And we're talking about Trayvon being healthy for his career and Aiden Hutchinson missing half of seasons. Like, that will start to be a conversation eventually. But to me, I think that when you are keeping somebody like Trayvon Walker, it's because you see that there's even more development to come and more sacks to come and more pressures to come, because I think that when you start surrounding him with other players who can also create pressure and can also wreak some havoc on that line and open other opportunities for Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen, that's going to create this whole new world. And that's what the Lions do. Yes, Hutch is a very, very good player. I'm not trying to take that away. But the Lions also had a good defensive front. They have a lot of pieces up there that can create different things. And they had one of the better defenses in the league last year. And the Philadelphia Eagles, you talk about them. These guys there's so many guys that look like they are immediately coming out and having this true success right away. And that's because they're surrounded by a ton of players that give them help. And so it doesn't feel like you're getting double teamed constantly. And that's something you see a lot with Trayvon Walker. He's constantly double teamed because there's not a whole lot you've had to worry about on Jaguars defense when it comes to the front, other than those two players. So if you can close down or reduce one of them, you're only worrying about Josh Hines-Allen, the offensive line, with the offensive line's only worrying about one of those guys. So it is, to me, I don't think he gets enough love. I do think that the reason he doesn't, and the only reason, is because of Aiden Hutchinson. If Aiden Hutchinson wasn't in that draft or Trayvon Walker was selected third, I think this wouldn't even be, people wouldn't be freaking out at all. I think so many people saw him get drafted above Aiden Hutchinson and then never watched a snap of Trayvon Walker and have no idea the type of player and the type of things that he creates and can do on the football field and in a lot of places.
We heard Brian Sexton and we played it on the show, tell everyone on Jaguars Today that this regime really, really likes Trayvon Walker. Yeah. So the fifth-year option should be no surprise to anyone. A contract extension, in my opinion, is coming at some point in time, whether it's this offseason or next offseason. They love his work ethic. They love his motor. Yeah. They love what, yes, he can grow into. And, yes, Aiden Hutchinson was drafted second behind Trayvon Walker, which is what caused the stir. Yeah. But to your point, if you watch Trayvon play every snap like we do, you know how talented he is. Yeah. And that's why he's getting double-digit sacks, and I do expect that to continue. And I know for our show last year, we did predictions of bold things for the Jags for this past season, and I said Trayvon Walker will have more sacks than Josh Hines-Allen. For me, that was because Josh Hines-Allen just had 17.5 sacks. Yeah. Like, it's really hard to stay at that level. Again, yeah. But also because I do believe Trayvon Walker is a really special player, and he was moved around so much at Georgia when he played there in that defense. And then, of course, here there's been a question of should he play some inside, some outside, right? And the reason they're asking that is because he is a really talented, thick, strong guy. Like, he's powerful, and that's why they've wondered, should we move him along, the different parts of the line? I do wonder if, let's say, the Jags were able to get Abdul Carter, how does that change this defense? I don't think he's necessarily going to be there at 5 by any means, and I don't think the Jaguars would go up to get him, but I wonder how that would affect what they would do this upcoming season, and that would be fascinating to watch, but I don't think they're going to take an edge at 5 overall.
Yeah, and you see all of the numbers, and you have to also watch the game. You have to put on the film, and that's a lot of things that
nobody watches Jags film.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I tweeted. I was like, you can tell not many people watch Jaguars games because even if you go look at even his box score and his stats from this last season, they're impressive numbers. He's in the top 10, 15 in almost every category. He's 15th in pressures, 11 more than what TJ Watt. And so when
a lot more than JJ Watt.
Yeah. And so when you're looking at numbers like that, everything shows that he has this ability to be one of the top players in the league. You also just need pieces around you. You're not going to have two players on defense that are good and expect it to be another 20-plus sack season between the two. It's just not realistic because teams start to figure that out when they're like, hey, we only have to worry about these two guys. Oh, imagine that. It's easy to shut two guys down.
Yeah, because there's no press rush, to your point, from the interior whatsoever. Yep. And, oh, by the way, they weren't always on the field.
At the same, there were so many moments and where you're looking and one of them were standing on the side of the field on third downs and you're like, what is going on? Why is this situation happening? And that's going back to the disaster that Ryan Nielsen's defense was.
It was one of the worst defenses certainly we've ever seen, and we were so let down because we had such beliefs in Ryan Nielsen and what he had been able to do with Atlanta.
And he still had double-digit sacks.
And exactly.
That defense.
Right, exactly. And I always throw the caveat out there because Ryan Nielsen's wife was undergoing, something terrible off the field, and so I understand that maybe that can change how you are at work and things like that. But at the end of the day, now the Jaguars with Anthony Campanelli, that's the one personality that when we watch The Hunt, as we've seen the first episode and more to come, that's the one person, like, I cannot wait to see more of him. That feisty, fiery personality, especially for a defensive coordinator, is exciting.
Yeah, and watching me having to watch Green Bay's defense with him too, I'm glad he's gone. I'll just start there. because what he was able to do up front, that's what stuck out to me so much. This Green Bay defense that got pressures from so many different people, and the way he was, and it wasn't obviously all him, but it was still a large part of him up front and what he was able to create with some of the players who, honestly, you weren't talking about being these superstar players, but so many of them were getting pressure, so many of them were getting sacks, and that's when you see that's why the Eagles can do what they do, because they have a whole line of guys that are able to create pressures and get to the quarterback.
Also from Georgia. Yeah. It's why the whole Jalen Walker, another guy from Georgia, conversation is fascinating too. And is he a guy that the Jaguars like more than maybe some other people? And it does feel like
I've seen him mocked a little bit too.
I was going to say, it feels like the Mason Graham getting only mocked to Jacksonville is starting to change and shift a little bit. And so, by the way, we do have some updated numbers for the Jaguars. Devin Lloyd will wear 0. Jordan Lewis will wear number 2. De'Ami Brown, number 5. Nick Mullins, the backup quarterback, number 12. Gabe Davis is switching to 13. Eric Murray will wear 29. Shuma Edoga, 55. Patrick McCarry, 65. That number for me is always Brandon Linder, number 65. 73 will be Robert Hainsey. Fred Johnson will wear 74. Johnny Munt, tight end, number 1, will wear 81. Hunter Long, the other tight end, will wear 84. And Luis Reese-Zammit, close. I got it close. He will wear 89, and that will always be Luke Farrell to me.
Yeah, I will say that I wish we could just go ahead and stop the 0, because between Calvin and Gabe, this has not been a good track record. So hopefully Devin Lloyd can change the trajectory of that number 0, because he also is another guy. I was talking to Mike Dempsey when we were doing our handoff, and that he's somebody who's up for that 5th-year option along with Trayvon Walker, and he's not being offered it yet. So what does that look like for Devin Lloyd? Do they wait until after the draft? Because they do have until May 1st to make that decision. But that is something to keep an eye on. Maybe there's a linebacker they want to try and get. If that doesn't work, they do something with Devin Lloyd, or they'll give him that 5th-year option. But that is somebody to kind of keep an eye on of what they see in these linebackers, because Foyer's not going to be here forever.
And Anthony Campanelli was a linebackers coach with the Packers. So what he thinks of the linebacking core here is what's going to be fascinating to figure out. I think Devin Lloyd has been lost a lot of times on the football field, and I don't know if that's because of the lack of coaching that's been here during his time, or if it's because he is just not sure where to go. And maybe it's a combination of that. But I wouldn't be surprised, or I wasn't surprised that the 5th-year option, at least as of now, hasn't been announced for Devin Lloyd.
Yeah, me either.
All right, so we will get it back to Florida basketball. Bob Ibach will join us next to talk about a very special basketball. You're listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Feel the team.
Caught! Touchdown, Jacksonville!
Seal the deal.
And the Jags have extended the lead.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. 1010XL.
Homeowners, storms don't wait, so why should you? Universal Roof and Contracting protects your home and your wallet. Invest in a stronger roof and save big. Right now, get 15% off roof replacement and repairs. Financing's available with monthly payments as low as $115. But this deal ends April 30th. Call 855-ROOF-HELP for your free inspection. Universal Roof and Contracting. Protecting your home, building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
Lauren Brooks here at Hodges Mazda. They are proud of their great reputation in the Jacksonville community. As your hometown Mazda dealer, their high customer service standards and their huge inventory of new and used cars provide their customers a consistently first-rate car buying experience. Their professional non-commissioned sales team puts your best interest first without exception. And all new vehicle purchases include the Hodges Mazda Protection Package. Visit them online at HodgesMazda.com or stop in today to learn more and discover the Hodges Mazda difference.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
Tackling overflowing closets, a messy garage, or an unorganized pantry, my friends at Closets by Design will create a custom storage system that helps you breeze through spring season stress and mess-free. Spring on this deal before it's gone, folks. Get 40% off plus an additional 15% off and free installation with special 12-month financing. Call Closets by Design today. 1-800-293-3744 or visit closetsbydesign.com.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwood Jewelers. Clayton, you have told us about buying better quality diamonds, but is there any way to start with a smaller diamond and use it to trade up to a larger diamond later on?
Frank, it's interesting you'd ask that because our founder, H.F. Underwood, popularized growing your diamond here in Jacksonville about 50 years ago, and it's something we still do today. When a customer buys an Underwood engagement ring or solitaire diamond pendant or a pair of ear studs, we guarantee they get the price they paid for it on the purchase of any larger diamond. Now, a lot of stores would say, big deal. We do that too, but here's the Underwood difference. We guarantee you get what you paid when you trade in your Underwood diamond, even if you're trading up by only $1. It's not that you have to trade up 2 for 1 like most jewelers ask. There have been literally thousands of people in the Jacksonville area who have taken advantage of our policy, and Underwood still grows a lot of diamonds for a lot of people.
Underwood's, serving excellence since 1928. In San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
Fish know where to hide. Captain Kevin knows how to find them.
That's a big one.
Listen for the Wing Power Fishing Forecast Show, brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss and Royal Pest Services.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
Buying a home used to feel like a complete headache. Listings here, pre-approval there, financing somewhere else. Now, Rocket is giving every home one address. Rocket.com. A single, seamless homeownership platform to help you find, buy, sell, finance, and refinance your home. Everything you need, all under one roof. Visit Rocket.com, the new home for all things homeownership. Rocket. Own the dream.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
The magical basketball ride continues for Gators fans this weekend, and now you can remember all 34 Gators wins with a full-size Season to Remember basketball for only $149.95, featuring scores of every game along with embossed logos, championship history, and more on panels of the ball. Order now. Get one of only 5,000 licensed balls. Call 800-345-2868. 800-345-2868 or visit NIKCOsports.com.
Ackerman Cancer Center, celebrating 10 years of excellence in cancer screening, diagnosis, and treatment. Always accepting new patients and 99% of all insurances. Call now to schedule a new consultation within 48 hours. Learn more at AckermanCancerCenter.com.
Good morning, Doctor.
Doctor?
Hi, Doctor. Doctor?
Dr. Jackson's practice is growing.
What do you mean we're still short-staffed?
He needs a good patient doctor.
How do we not have enough doctors to doctor all these patients?
And he doesn't have the patience to sift through hundreds of resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update brought to you by Clay Solar Installation Partners. The Gator boys stay hot after head coach Todd Golden and crew capped off arguably the greatest season in school history with a national championship victory last night, defeating Houston 65-63. The Gators fought hard all night as they only had the lead for a total of 64 seconds. However, that was enough to mark their third national championship in their program. Head coach Todd Golden postgame on their defense winning the game.
We've been a top 10 defense all year also. Been able to stand up against really good offensive teams and find a way to get stops. I thought Houston got the better of us in the first half. It was really just a disparity in the turnover count. Our defense won us the game tonight. We got 9 straight stops at one point in the middle of the second half. We held them scoreless the last 220. Walter, great closeout, and Kondo, great hustle play to win the game. And that's what made this team special all year, is that we could win different ways, and we showed that again tonight.
It's 67 degrees at 12:58. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Taylor Dull is here. RJ Saunders is here. I'm Lauren Brooks. Mia O'Brien has today off. She'll be back with us tomorrow as we welcome in our next guest, Bob Ibach from Nico Sports. And we have a very special basketball to discuss, Bob. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, Mia, Lauren, and Taylor, nice to be with you. I didn't know if I was going to be doing that late in the game, but, boy, they came back really stunning fashion to go ahead and win 65-63 over Houston last night to win their third national title ever, and the first since the back-to-back ones in 2006 and 2007. And I think we have the perfect item for Gator fans. You want to celebrate, remember this historic season when they won 36 games, which ties the win record for history and with the Gators. We have a limited edition, full-sized, fully licensed basketball, which I'll give out a website and information how you can get these. Only 5,000 will ever be made. They're priced at $149.95. You'll get a numbered certificate of authenticity. It's called A Season to Remember Basketball. Has a beautiful panel on there which has some of the Gators logos, and then right below that we have a recap of the entire season with the game-by-games in chronological order, every game there with the opponent, date, and the final scores. You get a chance to look at this basketball years from now. Remember that. It also includes the 6 victories during the March Madness tournament, and the ones over Norfolk State, UConn, Maryland, Texas Tech, of course, the comeback win against Auburn, and the best one, the one over Houston last night when they won it in the last couple seconds. 6 tournament wins right there. And these are priced, like I said, $149.95. We just started them, obviously, today. Everything on the various panels is embossed, which that process will keep it pristine looking for years to come. It's not pad base there where you can get the sunlight to go ahead and make them fade. This is like having it all engraved on there. So you can see all that when you go to the website. And here's how you can get these. Again, they're $149.95. Only 5,000 of these will ever be made. We're kicking it off on your program today for the first time. And the toll-free number you can go to order these is 800-345-2868. Again, that's 800-345-2868. Or just go to NICOsports.com. It's spelled NIKCO sports.com. That's NIKCO sports.com. And gosh, I would say for the last 30, 40 years, I've done broadcasting, covered a lot of these tournament games, and this will go down in my memory bank as one of the most fascinating and exciting ones in my lifetime.
Bob, it was definitely a season to remember for the Gator fans, and we have Lauren on the show that is a Gator fan. So watching it from just an observer and a sports someone who enjoys sports is a little bit different than probably the Gator fans, but I also am one of the people that love memorabilia. I have a ton of my own things from my sports teams. But I wanted to ask you, because reading up on your story and all of the things that you've done, a lot of it through baseball, but I think that when you know how special it is in moments like this to have something to just kind of memorialize it in a way that you're not going to have the net that they cut down, but you can have something like this to put up on your shelves, and that's pretty special.
That is so certain. I covered a lot of basketball, college and professional in my lifetime, and also some of the listeners may have read one of the books that I wrote called "Caught in the Net." It was about a Clemson basketball coach, Tates Locke, who cheated, and he told me everything in this book that came out in 1982. And 10 years later, it was made into the movie Blue Chips, starring Nick Nolte, and Shaquille O'Neal was in there, and some of the former Gator players were involved in that film, which is still circulating these days. So if you ever get a chance to look at the Blue Chips movie, it certainly uncovers a side of basketball that took place in the 1970s, and I think to some cases still exists today.
Possibly. Bob, sorry about that loss to Maryland that Florida delivered, since you did go there.
Yeah, I played there back in the my son calls it the dark ages, back in the 60s. But no, that was a tough game. The Terps played them pretty good the first half, but in looking back, you like to see the teams with the best talent turn out to be in the championship game. And I have to say, after the Gators come back against Auburn, the way they turned that game around and then turned it around against Houston last night, I didn't think when they were down by 12 points, I said, I don't think I'll be talking to you guys today. But, boy, they turned it around, and certainly Walter Clayton Jr., that was one of the things I look at in basketball. He's a star, was held scoreless for about 28 minutes, sat down on the bench when the coach put him down there, got his head together, and came out and scored 11 points. And certainly, I think in the very end, he was instrumental in making sure that closeout that Houston didn't get off a last-second shot from the behind the three-point line.
Oh, certainly. Walter Clayton Jr., people tease him that he doesn't play defense, but he showed last night that he certainly does.
Yeah, he's fast. I'll tell you, I think he's got some opportunities to play in the NBA, in my opinion. He's got quick hands, got a nice outside jumper, and certainly can put the ball and go to the hole pretty quick.
Bob, is this one of the better Final Fours you've seen in a while? Because I felt like all of the games, honestly, probably even Elite Eight for the most part too, were just all exciting games, close, a lot of comebacks, things like that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it held my interest, and I think that's, even the wins against Texas Tech, that was a close one. Auburn, that was a dramatic comeback, and of course Houston. When I was with the Chicago Cubs, I was with them in the 1980s, and we lost a tough series that would have put us in the World Series out in San Diego. We were up 2-0. All we had to do was win one more, and we lost 3 in a row. And that airplane flight back to Chicago, I mean, it was like the Kennedy funeral plane ride. Nobody said a word. I could only imagine having been in the baseball dugout, going through all that anguish, being in the front office with the Cubs, what is going on in Houston today, because that's a win that's a loss that they won't forget and get over for a long time.
Certainly not. And look, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that Houston team in the Final Four again next year, though.
No, they're very talented. Sampson's a good coach down there. He's been around for a long time. Coach Golden has done a great job. I mean, putting up 36 wins this year. I went back and looked. It ties the most wins in a season by a Gators team, which will make this basketball even more historic. I mean, people, if you are a Gators fan, you're not going to want to not get this basketball. You go to the website, it is wonderful looking. It has that championship logo on there, so it's one of a kind. I wanted to point out that when you buy this basketball, you will not be. You can't get it at any stores or anywhere else at the university. It's only being sold at Nyco Sports.
And the fact that there's only 5,000, I feel like we're about to sell those bad boys out, Bob.
Especially with the amount of people we saw, even Gator fans we saw out there in San Antonio.
Yes.
Oh yeah, when you get something like this, and I have a big man cave for my sports career. You look at some of the items. I've got a boxing glove in there. When I interviewed on one of my radio shows years ago with Muhammad Ali and the great Jimmy Brown, the football player with the Cleveland Browns, and some of the other ones, Mickey Mantle, and going back. I mean, people come down there and they look at it and they just gawk, And a basketball like this is going to be something very, very special because it doesn't happen that often. As Gator fans know, you had to go back to, I think it was 2006, 2007 when they won the back-to-back with Billy Donovan as the head coach. So you've waited a long time to get this. So now it's time to go out and celebrate. And I will say, this makes a great Mother's Day or Father's Day gift idea.
It definitely does. Bob, before we remind people how to get it and before we say goodbye, I do have one question for you as I was reading your bio, and there's a lot of Cubs stuff in there, which I am a diehard Cubs fan. Is there anything better than a 120 game at Wrigley on a Friday?
No, it's special. When I first came there, I'd covered the Baltimore Orioles for 9 years when I was at the Baltimore Sun in the 70s. And when Dallas Green, the general manager, hired me to be one of his assistants here, the first time I came to Wrigley Field, it was like in a November day, kind of a cold autumn day. And I walked up and I saw the ivy go. It was starting to turn brown at that time of the year on the walls there. It is a special thing. And I was very blessed to have been there for almost 9 seasons with the great Harry Carey behind the microphone, and some of the stories and some of the dinners that I had with Mr. Carey are legendary.
Oh, I can imagine that.
Absolutely. All right, Bob, you want to give the website one more time?
Sure. The website to get this exciting Gators championship basketball, limited edition, only 5,000 made. They're $149.95 each. You'll get a numbered certificate of authenticity. The toll-free number is 1-800-345-2868, 1-800-345-2868, or NICOsports.com, NIKCOsports.com. That's NIKCOsports.com. And own something that you're going to be very excited to have and show in your home or office, or get a couple of them because, like I said, these will make great gift ideas for that Gators fan.
Awesome, Bob. We really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Oh, listen, you guys have a great day and get ready to celebrate, and hopefully we'll talk to you down the road.
Absolutely. Sounds wonderful. And trust me, that party started both in Gainesville and in San Antonio last night. I can confirm that. That brings us to today's Terminix Pest of the Day. As always, you can find our friends at Terminix online at Terminix.com, TERMINIX.com. They handle the pest control and termite control for lots of places around town: Everbank Stadium, ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, ViStar Ballpark, all those great event venues. And today's Terminix Pest of the Day, also my house. The fact that the national championship for college football and college basketball, men's basketball, is on a Monday.
Yeah. And late.
And obviously late for us here on the East Coast. But it's on a Monday. Like, what are we doing? Put it on Saturday. Yeah. Come on, man. Like, if you're going to wait a week between the Elite Eight and the Final Four, then wait another week between the Final Four and the national championship. I'll take it on a Saturday and I'll wait the next week.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think any of the big games like that, even the Super Bowl to me, I feel like should be on a Saturday because it's one of those things where it's like, you know what people are going to do. Let's just be real. We're going to be up late watching this game. Most people are partaking in things and they don't want to be up for work early in the morning. But even aside from that, it's hard. And we kind of joked about this yesterday, but it's real. When you love your team, it's hard to go to sleep after a win or a loss. If it's a loss, you're devastated and you're sad. If you're a win, you're pumped and you have adrenaline going and you want to go, I don't even know, like run through.
Run through a wall. Yeah. You have no idea how many texts and messages I've gotten today that say, like, I didn't sleep or I only slept an hour.
Like, I'm not even a fan and I barely slept.
Right, exactly. Like, yeah, I don't know what time I went to sleep. We probably went to bed at like 2-ish. And that was because it's like, all right, we do have to get up and go to work. Otherwise, it was fun.
ET told me he was struggling a little bit.
I'm sure. Yeah, the drill has to wake up super early. It was fun on Saturday. We went to Spring in the Blues for a little bit in Jack's Beach. And I had told Brian and my friends, I was like, we're going to see a bunch of Gator fans today. Just be prepared. Not like be prepared, but just, there will be a ton of them out there. I mean, probably 100 people, and every person was like, go Gators, go Gators, go Gators. Because, obviously the game against Auburn was that night. So that was a ton of fun. And then I actually emceed the 2025 Vision Walk at Jacksonville University on Saturday morning ahead of all that. And I wore my Gator stuff, and lots of people there, go Gators. And they raised a ton of money. They raised over $100,000, which is awesome for a Foundation for Fighting Blindness. So shout out to them. But yeah, it was just, it's one of those, you get swept up in it. And for you, obviously, going to Chicago, being around that for the Cubs, like that, there's nothing, it's an indescribable feeling. And I wish I was in San Antonio last night.
I wish you were too.
Yeah, but I'm glad.
Not because I don't want you here, but because I know you need to experience
Of course, yeah. Look, there's only so many times, like Bob just said, that you get to experience that. For Florida in 96, obviously, for the national championship. 95, they played for it but lost. And then, of course, the national championships in 06 and 08 for football and then basketball, the 06-07 back-to-back. And the radio station here started in April of 2007. So 18 years later, another national championship. One then, one obviously the year prior, and then this one. And Florida came close in 2014 with that awesome team, but they came up short against UConn. And so beating UConn in this tournament certainly felt like revenge. And then, of course, winning it all. There is no better feeling, I can tell you that. All right, when we return, we will get back to the Jaguars. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
1010XL means
your signal. That means that's what that means. It's so cool.
Jacksonville Sports Radio. It's 1010XL.
Value or flavor? Price or taste? Why choose when you can get both with everyday deals at Sonny's? Right now, you can get the pork big deal for 10, the pork and rib combo for 12, and all you can eat ribs for just $19.99. Yep, you heard right. All your favorites are now available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue. Local pitmasters since '68.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. When mosquitoes show up, they are a buzzkill. You want them out of your yard and fast. At Terminix, they know that mosquitoes bite, but not for long. They'll provide regular treatments to protect you and your family all season long. Go ahead and schedule that picnic, because when mosquitoes show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a mosquito problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com.
I've been having knee problems for probably 6 months, and my knee was getting worse, and I had heard about Southeast Orthopedics on the radio, and I gave them a call. They got me right in. Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. It was painless, and it's been doing fantastic. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Life is just so busy this time of year. Between work, the kids' games, family vacations, I need a yard hero to free up my weekends.
You mean somebody who does mowing and trimming?
Yeah.
How about mosquito control?
Yeah.
What about irrigation and pet waste removal?
You do that too? You're my lawn hero.
Find your lawn hero at heroeslawncare.com. Heroes Lawn Care, because every lawn needs a hero.
It's heating up at Ride Now Jacksonville. Get water adventure ready with the 2024 Yamaha AR195 boat. With its supercharged engine, innovative design, and water sports features, the Yamaha AR195 is ready for anything you throw at it. Originally $46,000, now just $36,000. Oversized in-floor storage for wakeboards and extra gear, deck and hull design that maximizes space, comfort, and versatility like no other 19-foot boat. Ride Now Jacksonville on Blanding Boulevard. We'll meet or beat any price on all 2024 and prior models.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball is home tonight at the newly renovated VyStar Ballpark. Don't miss the day game tomorrow and Coors Light Thirsty Thursday, followed by fireworks Friday and Saturday nights. Baseball all weekend. Tickets start at just $5. JackShrimp.com for tickets. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable family fun.
Legends are made and history is written at Augusta.
It's been one of the greatest days in Masters history.
Catch Masters updates on 1010XL, served up by St. John's Middle School Athletic Association and TopDressing.com.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey, and I only like to recommend the best, which is why I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home. And now's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't wait. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. For quality you can trust and savings you can't miss, that's Pella Windows and Doors.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not being afraid of the crosses of life. Life can be difficult. Maybe today you're carrying a cross of worry or stress. Let me encourage you to remember that when Christ got on the big cross at Golgotha, he destroyed all the little crosses that we face in our life. He set us free from fear, worry, and anxiety. Our job is not to be carried by the cross, but to be carried by our faith.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
Your home is more than walls and a roof. It's where you breathe, drink, and power through life. At Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to keep it all running smoothly. From clean, cool air to clean water, reliable power to expert plumbing, we do it all. For over 35 years, families have trusted Donovan to make their homes healthier, safer, and more comfortable. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing today, 904-270-COOL, where health meets home.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. There was a time when if you handed me a bread basket at a restaurant, you better watch your fingers. Pizza, pasta, bread, carbs were absolutely my weakness. I'd be lying if I said they didn't have me hooked. Then Awaken 180 came into my life. I've been down every diet road there is, but this is different. It's not just another diet. It's a total reset of how you see food. You know that carb craving that we all accepted as normal? That's gone for me now. Don't get me wrong. I still enjoy the good stuff, but here's the difference. I no longer feel like I need them. So when the server puts that bread basket on the table, I just smile, sit back, and say, nah, I'm good. That feeling of control is all thanks to Awaken 180. I lost 40 pounds in 9 weeks on Awaken 180. Hacker lost more than 110. Baloo is on his way, and you can lose whatever you want to lose. It doesn't matter what your goal weight is. Awaken 180 weight loss will get you there quickly and safely. It's a clear path to success without disappointment. Awaken 180 has changed my life, and it will change yours too. Give them a call at 844-346-1800 or go to awaken180weightloss.com. Trust me, you'll thank yourself.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every
Man alive. If you're a Houston person out there today, you don't want to hear this song whatsoever, but all the Gators are loving it. We'll get Mia's thoughts now that she's joined us. I thought you were off today, but welcome.
Hey, listen, when your assignment ends a little bit early, happy to hop back in the saddle a little bit earlier than expected.
Yeah, so we'll get your thoughts on the national championship in our next segment, but I did want to talk some Jaguars because Trayvon Walker did get the fifth-year option. Any surprise there?
No. I think what's more surprising is we don't have clarity on are they offering the fifth-year option up to Devin Lloyd. We did get news this morning that Devin Lloyd is changing his number to 0, which, as Taylor Dahl and I discussed this morning in the office, hasn't boded well for the last two Jaguars who have decided to change their respective jersey numbers to the number 0. But hey, maybe he hopes that third time's the charm. He breaks that streak and he has a good contract year, because at this point in time, that's what he's facing. Yeah. And that, for me, is what's most telling, is that I haven't heard anything. Clearly, no one on the national level has reported if the Jaguars have actually made a decision on him. With regards to Trayvon, it's not surprising. Yeah. You heard Brian Sexton on Jaguars Today earlier this month, or I guess technically in the month of March, in which he was effusive in describing the praise that he has heard from the additions to the Jaguars office of Trayvon and how big of fans of Trayvon they are. Yeah. And so not a surprise at all for me, and wouldn't be surprised if an extension is reached, and that's not based off anything. That is not based off anything tangible, just an inkling based off the positive returns and reviews so far.
Yeah, I think much like we heard Trent Baalke once upon a time say Josh Hines Allen will be a Jaguar for a long time. Mm-hmm. I feel comfortable in saying Trayvon Walker will be a Jaguar for a long time, even if there's not an extension that's announced yet.
Yeah, Mia, we had somebody I wanted to, off the text line, that when we were talking about this earlier and what the possibilities were with Devin Lloyd and what maybe this regime sees, because the main issue with Devin Lloyd that we've seen is the coverage area. And so what do you see Devin Lloyd fitting best in, especially what Campanile does?
Well, it's a great question, especially when you couple that with the argument of who the Jaguars should be selecting at number 5 overall, whether they select at 5 or they trade back. And certainly, if only the Georgia fan contingent here in Northeast Florida effusive in their own praise for Jalen Walker. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to compare Jalen Walker and Devin Lloyd, because I believe Jalen Walker does profile more as an edge than Devin Lloyd did coming out of college. Yeah. But they both profiled as designated pass rushers. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, the Jaguars, through 2 technically, and now a third defensive coordinator scheme, they have not been able to determine how they can put Devin Lloyd in the best position to succeed. And at some point in time, it's going to be a question of chicken or the egg. Who actually is the culprit? Is it the player? Is it the scheme? Is it the coordinator? Is it the coach? But ultimately, if we're to say, and certainly nationally, there are those who contend that Trevor Lawrence is on his third coach, and at some point in time, you have to point the finger at yourself. I think the same can be said for why we have not seen the production we saw out of Devin Lloyd during his time at Utah.
And it's interesting, too, because he's a really smart guy, Devin Lloyd is, but there's been a lot of confusion on the field. And so normally when you talk about, the smart players, it translates to the field. And so I have been surprised that Devin Lloyd at times has been, we saw it certainly his rookie year, he kind of hit a wall, and then we've seen it since that sometimes you see him with his hands up and he's not in the right position.
Yeah. It reminds me a little bit, and this is a guy that you liked a lot throughout the playoffs, Mia, but a Zach Bond, for example, because it's someone where in New Orleans you just weren't seeing, he didn't fit the Dennis Allen scheme. Dennis Allen, obviously, when you talk about what Dennis Allen likes, he likes those big guys on the line. He is still in kind of the older school mindset of a defense of the big burly guys, still wants those true big linebackers, maybe not the more athletic ones. Then Zach Bond goes to Philly and is a Pro Bowler, in one season.
And part of why, sorry to cut you off, but Ryan Nielsen asked Devin Lloyd to put on more weight.
Yeah.
And to switch to the Mike linebacker position last year because he is a descendant of the Dennis Allen coaching tree.
Yep.
Yeah, what they do at linebacker certainly, or what they do at pick 5, I should say, will tell us about what they think about linebacker, or it could tell us what they think about wide receiver, or tight end, or running back, or offensive line, defensive
a lot
line.
Of options.
I think the picks at 36, 70, 88 will also give us a very, and if they trade back, don't think that's because they don't like any of the players on the board at that current juncture. It means the Jaguars have draftable grades on multiple players, and they're okay with rolling the dice and hoping that multiple players will be there at their next pick.
Our friend Daniel Griffiths tweeted out that Trevor Lawrence must avoid turnovers. He leads the NFL in turnovers since 2021 with 68, leads the NFL in lost fumbles since 2021 with 22, and he has a TWP, I don't know what that is, but either way.
Turnover-worthy plays.
Okay, thank you, of 3.9% career high last season. So that's obviously an area that he needs to work on. We've discussed how Baker Mayfield's a gunslinger. Trevor Lawrence is a gunslinger. They're going to, at times, push the ball downfield, and sometimes interceptions happen. But certainly the lost fumbles, that's not something that fits into that gunslinger mentality.
Yeah, I think the fumbles are something that needs to be focused on, but I also think the fumbles have come because Trevor has felt like he's had to do too much in a lot of times. And he's pressed a lot of things because people are dropping passes, or he's not getting the protection he needs, or the run game isn't working, or the play calling's not working. And I'm not one of those people, if anybody listens to the show, I'm not one of these people who make excuses for Trevor all the time, but that has been a factor in a lot of these fumbles. If you go back and if you were to tally all of the fumbles, the majority of them were probably because certain plays were just completely breaking down and Trevor was trying to make something happen when maybe he shouldn't have. Maybe he should have thrown the ball away or just ran out of bounds or something like that, but he's just never been that type of guy. And sometimes that is things that maybe that's something Liam Cohen can coach out of him a little bit, because we've seen other players start to get better in that. Josh Allen, for example. Josh Allen had a lot of fumble issues, a lot of turnover issues, and that reduced drastically when they simplified the offense for him. But I do think that when you look at what Liam Cohen did with Baker, he didn't say you can't throw picks. Baker still did Baker things. I think he still had 16 picks, but you get more touchdowns. And when you get more touchdowns, those 10, 11, 12, 13 picks don't seem so radical.
He had 41 touchdowns, 16 picks.
Yeah. We profiled Justin Herbert a few weeks ago with comparison to Trevor. But before I look at that comp, I know he only played 10 games last year, but Trevor Lawrence had just 3 fumbles in 10 games. The careless disregard for the football, the quarterback needs to take care of the football that Doug Peterson kept, whether you believe it was a shot or if you believe it was just stating facts in press conferences, that company line that he kept saying. Again, it's a 10-game sample size, but it was largely cleaned up compared to 12 fumbles in 16 games the year prior. And the bulk of which came in the final 6-game stanza where the Jaguars went 1-5. And certainly, to your point, Taylor, I don't even care about the injuries. We're not even going to talk about the injury excuse. Everyone around him was injured, and so he felt like the offense had to be him. Yeah. And that is when those mistakes occur. And so that is why I bring Justin Herbert into the debate, because, as we talked about a few weeks ago, bringing in Jim Harbaugh, the Chargers offense, we're not going to say it, went back down to the studs, and they began to develop an offensive identity that was based around the run game. Justin Herbert was only dropping back 18 times a game tops those first 6-7 games of the season. And eventually,
compared to 40 in previous seasons.
Eventually, he built back to 30, 32, attempts, mostly in the 20 to 28 range, though, later on in the season. But again, this is also a guy who is lauded because of how many touchdowns he throws. Do you want to hear year by year? Fumbles, not interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Herbert, 8 the year that he won the Offensive Rookie of the Year award in 2020. 1 in 2021. 8 fumbles the year that they made the playoffs. They lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars at Everbank Stadium. 4 fumbles the next year. 6 last year on a playoff team. And then you couple that in the interception department with 10, 15, 10, 7, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe that was identified as an issue with Justin Herbert of, hey, you need to be, as much as you're a gunslinger, you got to be more careful through the air. And because we're going to take less pressure, we're going to take pressure off of you, we don't want to see those interception numbers up, even if it means the touchdown number drops. I don't think that's going to be the case here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I tweeted about that earlier. One of the things that Laura Rutledge said to us earlier, and it stuck out to me because we asked briefly at the end about Trevor Lawrence and what she thinks about that relationship with Liam Cohen and what he can do. And one of the things is she said he needs to build the confidence back into Trevor. And that stood out to me because we've had the conversations on this show, and I think just this week or maybe late last week, I was saying similar of, that's what I felt Jim Harbaugh did with Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert was starting to kind of take a step back in a lot of the things that you saw in his rookie season. And I think a lot of that is because when you're getting hit a lot and you're having hurt ribs throughout seasons and you're constantly getting injured, that plays a factor into everything that you're doing and all of your decision making. And Jim Harbaugh had to kind of take things back a step and build the confidence back into Justin Herbert. And I think that's exactly what Liam Cohen can and will do with Trevor.
The biggest question that we, of course, have when it comes to the offense is it putting Trevor Lawrence in the best position to succeed? And I always circle back to that 5th pick overall. Is that 5th pick going to help Trevor Lawrence succeed? Whether that's an offensive lineman, a running back, a wide receiver, a tight end. Like, the direction that this franchise will go is the direction that Trevor Lawrence takes them. So you have to surround him with the best offense. Obviously, the scheme, which we know Liam Cohen's going to do that, but also with weapons, too.
I don't want to segue from Trevor Lawrence and our favorite debate to the NBA, but out of the corner of my eye, as we were just discussing Justin Herbert versus Trevor Lawrence, I saw RJ Saunders almost fall out of his chair. And so for you NBA fans out there, we probably need to hit a breaking.
Now, breaking news.
RJ, would you like to do the honors, sir?
As if you couldn't think the NBA
He's out of breath, folks. Look at how he can't breathe right now. This is why we had to hit a breaking.
As if the NBA season couldn't get any more crazier, I thought Memphis was out of their mind, being a top 5 team in the Western Conference at one time, being the second best team in the Western Conference. Fired Taylor Jenkins. It's okay. There shouldn't be any more crazy. We've had the Luka Doncic fiasco. Still can't understand that, but thank you. He's a Laker. Can't understand the Taylor Jenkins fiasco. And now the team that you say don't sleep on as long as they have Nikola Jokic, you've now fired your head coach and Michael Malone. What in the world that's all of good and pure in the NBA is going on?
He's the only coach to ever lead them to a title. Correct me if I'm wrong, RJ.
That's correct.
He led them to said title less than 2 years ago with largely the same roster. The Nuggets are currently in 4th place in the Western Conference. And yes, as RJ alluded to, the Memphis Grizzlies also remain in a playoff spot as of this writing in the Western Conference. But arguably the most competitive conference. I think you can make the argument across all sports, at least over the better part of the last 10 to 15 years. And you decide that the enemy of great is good, but this guy is great. I'm very fascinated to see what the fallout is because it's not every day, whether it's the NBA, the NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball, that we see 2 coaches of 2 playoff teams fired before the postseason even begins. There's got to be something else going on in Denver.
The ironic thing is that both of those teams are 3-7 in their last 10 also. So
after they fired right, well, now they fired
after the 3-7.
Right.
Yeah.
It
is interesting, though, because especially with the Nuggets, you're the 4th-place team in the Western Conference, and that is wild.
I just saw RJ looked like he legitimately fell out of his chair, and I was like, and then I looked online, and I'm like, oh boy, we got to hit this.
We'll circle back to the national championship that saw Florida beating Houston last night. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Get a Gator baseball chomp on 1010XL.
Orange and blue, garnet and gold. Gator Seminoles. Tonight at 7 on 1010 AM.
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street. Tired of changing out bad sod year after year? Get it done right with Roundtree Sod. Big or small, they have it, and always supplied farm fresh. For a lush, legendary green lawn, call 7414-SOD for a free estimate. 7414-SOD.
There's a lot on the line in a divorce. Your home, savings, maybe even your kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce and the unexpected directions it can take, you need a partner you can count on. I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Don't let divorce take more than it has to.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Lauren Brooks here for Novus Glass of Jacksonville. Novus Glass is already well known for their customer service for windshield, window, and glass repairs and replacements, but now they're the only place in town where you can get Turbo Tint. Turbo Tint is an incredible new technology that will reduce the heat inside your car and your house, just like darker tint, but Turbo Tint allows natural light to come through. Turbo Tint blocks up to 99% of harmful UV rays, so all of us Floridians need Turbo Tint in our cars and our houses, and Novus Glass is the only place you can get it. Book today at turbotint.com.
Florida Home AC wants to make sure you're super cool when things heat up and toasty warm when the temps drop. Indoor comfort for you all year long is what they're going for. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com to score great deals on an AC tune-up and keep the temperature perfect.
Lots of jewelry stores in the town center, but only one is locally owned, Beard's Diamonds.
We're the only local jewelry store at the town center.
That's Jacksonville's John Lupo, owner of Beard's for over 4 decades.
We're entrenched in Jacksonville, Florida.
In a sea of mega chain jewelers, John says it's easy to stand out because he's not handcuffed by a corporate handbook.
I am not beholden to a corporate structure, so we've got flexibility to do whatever we can and want, and we do.
And that includes lowering prices to undercut them every day.
Quality for quality, color for color, everything the same. We should be able to beat them hands down by minimum 20%. We go overseas ourselves. We know exactly what we're buying. This isn't getting marked up in a corporate structure. We will beat anybody's price anywhere.
So before you buy anything at one of those chains, get a second opinion at locally owned Beard's Diamonds. No corporate atmosphere, no corporate rules, no corporate high markups.
We want you to come shop us and you'll see a lot better price here.
Beard's Diamonds.
Everybody gets a good deal at Beard's.
I'm Max Fink, and I'm your Gator updater. Listen for the Gator Report several times a week on 1010XL.
Freshened up by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators. 1010XL.
Go, Gator!
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. By now, everyone has heard about saving money on their energy bills. There are all sorts of things you can do to cut energy costs, but most people don't think about their windows.
But Window World knows that the biggest energy loss in almost every home is the windows. There is more energy loss from old builder-grade windows than just about anything else in your home.
You can upgrade your heating and air, your appliances. That's good too. But before you do all that, upgrade your windows to Window World's energy-efficient windows.
Window World's windows are easy to clean, energy efficient, and have the best guarantee in the business.
Window World's slogan is simply the best for less, and we mean it. You get great American-made windows, and you get to keep more of your money when you buy from Window World. Need any more reasons to buy your windows from Window World? Call them today and set up your free in-home estimate, or go online to windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World, simply the best for less.
Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
At the first
First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you become more active, reach your weight loss goals, and find your inner strength. Membership at the Y includes state-of-the-art facilities, a huge variety of fitness classes, and programs for all ages. It's easy to join the Y since it's affordable for all incomes. The Y is a great place to make connections and experience something new. Visit the YMCA near you or online at fcymca.org.
No matter what the reason, sending a floral arrangement from Kuhn Flowers always works. For unique and special gifts, visit their showroom on Beach Boulevard. ET here with 1010XL. Kuhn Flowers is my go-to, and it should be yours too. Online at kuhnflowers.com.
Ackerman Urology has 4 convenient locations providing advanced urological care to improve men's health and sexual vitality. Don't suffer through prostate, bladder, or kidney issues. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the Cool Down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
I haven't had a chance since I was on assignment the first hour to chime in on my thoughts on the national title game, so we'll get to that as we cool down here on Helmets and Heels. But before we do that, yes, in case you missed it, since JJ LaSelva also just walked into 1010XL World Headquarters and also is in disbelief.
There's definitely some chaos.
The Denver Nuggets have fired Michael Malone despite the fact that they are in 4th place in the Western Conference, despite the fact that he led them to an NBA championship, a world title 2 years ago. Yes, they did
just
not
fired their GM too.
Oh, there we go. So, a complete overhaul, and I'm fascinated. Whether it's basketball, whether it's football, when things like this happen, it's either an owner gone cray-cray or there's some sort of fire to the smoke.
Does Jim Irsay own the Denver Nuggets?
That's exactly those vibes. Those vibes. I did want to hit a little bit of breaking news on the women's basketball front as well that affects you Knowles fans. Tania Latson, the star at Florida State last year, the nation's leading scorer, is transferring to South Carolina. So even more super teams. As the world keeps spinning, the story remains the same. The transfer portal, it never stops. The super team era that you thought was over in the NBA, thought it was over in college basketball because we've got Todd Golden not necessarily priding himself in, look at me, I got the top 3 recruits in the transfer portal. I got the top 3 high school recruits. No, I went out and I recruited pieces that fit together. Now, Dawn Staley's still like, I need all the 5 stars.
Yeah,
give me all the 5 stars and I'll figure it out.
Just a note back to the Nuggets thing. First of all, the comments on this post are hilarious because everybody in the world is freaking out of that breaking news. But someone posted a picture and it's like the one meme where it's the Grim Reaper like knocking on doors and it's just like the blood coming out.
Oh, no,
and
I
it's
know.
Russell Westbrook knocking on it's like each of the teams. It's like the Thunder door, Rockets door, Wizards door, Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets.
I thought you were going to say Billy Donovan was the next door. That's why I was like, oh no, Taylor. Come on, he just got inducted, or he's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Let the man live. No, the Russell Westbrook bit is way better. Way better.
Today is a glorious day in Jacksonville for all of those Gators fans, a lot who certainly made the trip to San Antonio, my dad being one of them. He got to see the 2008 national title down in Miami when Florida beat Oklahoma, and now this one as Florida beat Houston. The future of these two basketball teams, I think, will be really interesting to watch to see how they replenish the stars that certainly will no longer be a part of their teams next year. Kelvin Sampson is going to have to wait for that 800th victory, I assume, to start the 2025 season. Something tells me Houston will come out very angry, and they will dominate whoever they play in that first game next year.
Yeah, and as Paul Biancardi of ESPN told us yesterday, ultimately, this is going to be a Kelvin Sampson team in 2025, 2026 that looks different than the one that just finished as the national runner-ups, because it won't be as old. It's going to be led by a couple of McDonald's All-Americans, and that is what I'm most fascinated to see, that dynamic of now Kelvin Sampson, much like we've seen Mike Krzyzewski, Roy Williams, John Calipari invented the one and done. How we've seen those longtime coaches evolve with the transfer portal, evolve with NIL, and now potentially Kelvin Sampson goes back to his roots and leans into those one and done high school recruits as opposed to 4 or 5 year players who either had to start at JUCO or a low mid major and work their way to the top. I will read this one for you, Lauren, off the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures from 874. Scott Strickland, I don't care. Please do not let the Denver Nuggets buy out Todd Golden. Make Todd Golden the highest paid coach in America. I do not care.
Yeah, Todd Golden certainly is making Scott Strickland look really good. Billy Napier, what he did towards the end of the season as well, of course, in football. But Todd Golden looks like he's a guy that can have a completely different team next year, and you would not bet against them, right? Like what he's been able to do with all of these different pieces and put it all together and know, like we just talked about with Bob Iback, putting Walter Clayton Jr. on the bench because he was pressing last night. And obviously Walter knew that he had to score at some point in time, but those threes that he was taking from the logo weren't going down, and he's not used to that. But Todd knew all the right buttons to push.
Especially from the week before, because even when there was like madness in his face against Auburn, he was still hitting some of those threes. And I think he was kind of expecting that to happen. So when it wasn't, Todd Golden had to shift, and Walter Clayton, they both had to shift that game plan quickly. Is Emmanuel Sharp back next? He'll be back?
No. I don't know. The COVID year's still in effect, so I have no freaking idea. I wish I did Taylor Doll because I
was devastated for that kid. I was like, ugh. Made my heart sad for somebody who is just having fun watching the game.
So Sharp is listed. Yeah, he's a redshirt sophomore.
Well, I had fun.
Yeah. So yeah,
just not until the very end.
Emmanuel Sharp, in theory, I mean, you can go to the NBA as soon as you've completed one season of college ball or matriculated 1 year beyond high school. Yeah. Right. Like, could he go to the NBA? Maybe. Does he come back? I don't know. Does he transfer somewhere else? Look, I mean, not to bring it back to the women's side, but like, again, if the nation's leading scorer, who I am assuming Florida State was planning on giving a large NIL deal to, can up and leave for South Carolina.
Yeah. Well, Florida State had to pay Robert McCray from here in JU, so maybe that's where their NIL dollars went.
Right.
The settlement that's coming that, $20 million schools can spend as far as the pay for play with all of this stuff that we discussed is going to add even another layer, because schools that don't have football, that are basketball schools, and yes, I saw Matt Hayes' tweet that Florida's a basketball school. It was funny. But those schools can spend more on men's and women's basketball because they don't have to worry about football and paying those guys. So all of that will add, like I said, a whole nother layer to all of this.
I know 874 is still going on the text line about the Denver Nuggets trying to get Todd Golden, and I don't think this is in jest. The quote, the plays he drew up out of timeouts last night, unreal. Golden is the real deal. Gary Parrish talked about this on the Eye on College Basketball podcast on CBS Sports overnight, and he discussed, and I think this is maybe an undersold story of the Todd Golden evolution. When he was coaching at San Francisco, he spent so much time studying the Golden State Warriors. This idea of having 5 players on the floor at any one time that can pass, dribble, and shoot. It doesn't matter that you're a 6'9" center. You need to be able to pass, dribble, and shoot. And that's where I look at how he constructed this roster, and it was with an NBA first mindset, even if the players themselves don't all project as lottery picks per se. And so that's where I don't want to manifest that 874, but I agree. I think he will be on NBA teams' radars sooner rather than later if this trend continues of him being able to mine the transfer portal and fit all those right pieces together.
Well, I think he's been on the short list for some NBA teams already, just because of his eye for analytics too.
What happens to? There's 3 regular season games left for the NBA for the Nuggets, and then now they don't have a coach going into the postseason
or a GM
or a general manager. I mean, we talk about the NFL world, and usually when you're talking about firing coaches, it's not teams heading into the playoffs. So, but even that's a conversation of who's going to take over play calling and who's going to do this. And now you are 4th in the West, and you have 3 games left before you're playing postseason basketball.
Yeah, it's why the Houston situation is kind of cool, right? That whenever Kelvin wants to be done, his son will take over the team. And so they don't have to stress in that moment of all the stuff with recruits and trying to keep your own players and all that stuff, like that. When the transfer portal opens, like they already have a
seems
plan
like a seamless move, it feels like.
Yeah, and look, will it work out to be the same way? Right, we certainly don't know. But I loved how we talked about yesterday the drill that Houston has of the 2 guys fighting for a loose ball, and how that teaches them every loose ball is so important. And I don't know that Florida specifically has a drill like that, but I know how important it is to Todd Golden and his staff that Florida get after all the loose balls. And obviously that's what ended up winning the game last night. Defense and a loose ball.
Right. One final thought from me, because I echo those sentiments, Lauren, that Florida's offense is what got them to this point. That is what will be the headliner when we remember this 2024-2025 squad. But it's their defense that won them a national title game. I'm not sure if you guys have hit this stat already, but for me, it is the stat as to how Florida won this game. Houston turned the ball over 5 times in the first 38 and a half minutes. They turned the ball over 4 times in the final minute 26. That's all you need to know about what can happen in the final 90 seconds of a game. And it just happens to be ironic because what did Houston do to Duke 2 nights earlier?
Well, and that's what there was a couple things that stuck out to me stat-wise in that and what led to the Florida win. And that's one of them, obviously. But Florida had more turnovers than Houston did, but Florida scored more off of the turnovers. And I think that's an important thing. They also shot 80% free throw, from the free throw line.
Which is
that's been
underrated as well, and that's been a trend throughout the tournament. I would also,
Thank you, Elijah Martin, for making both of yours. Denzel made 1 out of 2. We'll give him credit.
It's fine, it's all good. There was a 1.5 point spread, win by 2. It's all good. Wanted to make you sweat a little bit. I was just discussing this while I was over at UNF on assignment because somebody asked me about the evolution of who's got next with coaches in men's college basketball. And of course, I hope Kevin's not listening right now because all roads for me, of course, these days lead to Ben McCollum, the now head coach at the University of Iowa. But the point being, Ben McCollum, in the same vein as Todd Golden, believes in analytics. For a different generation of coaches, the idea of simply fouling a fouling an opponent with 2.5 minutes to go. You don't have to start fouling yet, but it's because he's a 58% free throw shooter. And you know that the odds are not great that he's going to make both free throws. And the odds are good that you're going to be able to get a rebound and suddenly you get the ball back. That's an analytical decision. And that is a trend that you're seeing in the NBA. And now you're seeing it filtered down to the college ranks. And in turn, I'm excited to see who joins Todd Golden in this next age of coaches in a sport in which we've spent so much time lamenting Jim Laranaga's retirement, Leonard Hamilton's retirement. Coach K is gone. Roy Williams is gone. Coach Boeheim is gone. Go right on down the line. But what if, even if it's uncomfortable, there's this new age of number-crunching head coaches that are all under the age of 50, and I'm excited to see what they bring to the sport that then will filter back up to the NBA.
Yeah, we're seeing it in college football. We're seeing it in the NFL, too. All of the analytical stuff being very, very, I say vocal, but very shown on the TV. You now see during the NFL games, it tells you the little analytics of what the chances of this are. You're seeing the analytical guys on the field with coaches in college football. At least I've seen a lot of that this last season. The one Notre Dame win, they almost directly put on because the analytics guy told him to go for it instead of punting on the one, and that ended up winning them the game. And so
if
little
you use
things
them
like
right,
that,
analytics are great.
And is it going to work 100% of the time? No, but I do think that seeing more of this and having the younger coaches who are embracing that side of it also, but you're never going to go away from the film. That's one thing that these guys have been very vocal about. When you talk to a Marcus Freeman, I'm sure Todd Golden would share the similar sentiments that you still always want to have that part of the game, but you have so much access now to all of these numbers that previous regimes never had.
Yeah, and it's funny to go back to they can all 5 guys on the floor can shoot, pass, dribble, all that stuff. It didn't feel like Florida, for a large percentage of that game last night, remembered how to do some of those things because they were not making shots.
But it's okay.
They also weren't rebounding for a while, and I was like, what? Okay, can they get one?
Here's the thing, and I was told this, and this was, I forget if it was a men's UNF game or a women's UNF, or I forget if it was men's or women's, but the point holds true either way. Actually, I believe it was the women because we were talking about Florida Gulf Coast. Historically, the reason that Florida Gulf Coast has won 14 of the last 15 ASUN titles on the women's side is because Carl Semesco was mining the transfer portal before there was a transfer portal, right? And part of his approach was he would go to the Power 4 conferences, find players who couldn't start, and bring them to Fort Myers. And in doing so, you had a 5-out lineup in which you had 5 shooters at all times on the floor. Because of the transfer portal, because of parity in college sports, you can't have that anymore. So to your point, Lauren, you may only have 3 shooters on the floor per se, but that's still more than your opposition 9 times out of 10.
Well, the next guy we're going to talk to would have made his free throws last night in front of 60,000.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
I do want to note, it was Coach Campo who told so many at 1010XL World Headquarters, don't sleep on BYU and don't sleep on Houston. Vindicated.
Well, first of all, what a game.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. The thing I liked about it the most was the energy and the excitement. And San Antonio, I thought, put on a great show, to be honest with you. But, yeah, I'm a Big 12 guy. But my second team was Florida. So when the two of them played, I was kind of in a bad position there. But, I felt a little bad for Sampson. But I'll tell you what, Florida, the last thing I said walking out of here on Friday was give Clayton the ball when it counts. And they did. And the guy's a heck of a player. There's no doubt about it. I think he played his way into the first round in the draft.
I definitely think so. Coach, what's coming up?
We've got a great show going on this week. It's about the Jags, and it's about the University of Florida.
All right.
And we're going to be talking about Florida. Basketball, only school in history to have 3 football championships and 3 basketball. Now, I'm from Connecticut. So I got a pretty good basketball going on up there at the University of Connecticut, both men and women.
I was going to say, you're talking about Gino. You're not talking about that other guy with the glasses. You're talking about Gino.
So, it's going to be a fun day. And first day of workouts.
Yep, that's right.
The Jags.
Yep, they reported today.
So, we're going to talk about that as well.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Coach.
You got it. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. We'll be listening. All right, that'll do it for us today. For Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow, but don't go anywhere. XL Prime.